Hi Scorpio, here's a general look at your solar chart for September 2013. Now, many of you know that this is a time that you've got to take life more seriously. Many of you know that this is a time that you've got to take your responsibilities out there and in here to yourself more seriously. This is a time when you should be looking to build new foundations from the ground up in certain areas of your life, or some would say across the board. And that's because you've got Saturn in your sign at the moment, and that planet makes a return visit once every 28.5 years. So if you were to cast your mind back about 28.5 years, if you're old enough to do that, and if you are younger then but already born, then look at what was going on around you, maybe for your parents at that time. Then you'll sort of get the gist, I would say, of conditions. Maybe it would be 27, anything between 28 years, 29 years ago. Around about there, because Saturn comes around once every 28.5 years. So Saturn's halfway through, so it might be about 29.5 years ago. And it can be quite an eye-opener to look at that. So you've got this long transit. Saturn's due to come out of there properly in the beginning of 2015. So in the meantime, for September, well, this can be a very future-orientated month. A month when you're thinking towards the future and you're aspiring, your ambitions are getting fired up, your goals are more, have more of your attention, your targets. This can be a very proactive phase where contacts will be important, where you've got an eye on improving things professionally, maybe, making people know you're there, shaking them up, and getting their attention in some way, hopefully in a good way, but definitely contacts, past, present, are going to be important, and also friendships, revisiting old friendships, but also new friendships being made a possibility this month, and also tapping into community of some kind, in person or over the wires, of people maybe with a specialist area in common, doing that a little bit more this month, or an interest in common, or just kindred spirits. That could all be a key feature, and really and truly this is the month when the ball can start rolling forwards, but you are very much aware of putting physical effort maybe into achieving certain goals. These may be career orientated, or they may just be in general to do with your general life direction and where you hope to get to from here. And in the process you might have to have more involvement with bureaucracy maybe, or authority type figures, or officials, or parental figures as well. And this transit of Mars, that's what I'm looking at here, Mars going through this area of your chart, right up at the top of your chart in the career sector, means that Mars likes to be decisive, Mars likes to be energetic, so you're going to be channeling through that Mars energy, being more decisive, energetic, maybe through choice, maybe because you just have to now, because it's the time. And Mars is going to help you where you need to go, because Mars has got terrific drive, but don't let Mars tire you out and get you spreading yourself too thin or expecting too much of yourself, setting the bar too high, because Mars, likes a bit of a challenge, is a bit of a risk taker. And also Mars can tend to be controversial, so when it does come to those positions, people in positions of authority, or officials, or red tape, that kind of thing, you might get a bit frustrated, you might just be, with the powers that be, or with, the sort of the machinery. and you need to ride that one out. It's to do with where Mars is at the moment, which can also be help you, very much climb the ladder of success. So Mars in that area there, if you're having to deal with these types of due processes, can really help you. So if you manage to keep your cool and not be too hasty and impatient and expect things to happen instantly, you'll make progress with the master plan. In fact, Scorpio, with Saturn in your sign, which is a very slow moving, she takes her time to drive those lessons home about you being persevering, patient, consistent, taking more burden on your shoulders, taking more pressure on you. She tests you through all these things for those 2.5 years, and you're halfway through. Whoopee! And it's not going to be, of course, the same pressure all the time with Saturn going through your sign. It'll simply be the area that Saturn is connecting with the degree mostly, although the whole of the sign will feel the kind of, it's almost like a drag. And some would say, God, that's a drag. Feeling it more of the weight of Saturn, whilst she's very thorough. While she sort of tests you through challenges, and then you come out the other end a very much stronger person in your character and in your ability to know that you proved certain things to yourself. I mean, that's a big one, actually. You come out the other side of the Saturn transit and say, okay, I did that. Despite everything, I overcame that, and I kept myself, pretty much aligned and centered whilst I was doing that, and I didn't lose it. So yeah, that's the big one with Saturn. So anyway, back to the future. The Sun from the 23rd, the energies then could manifest more as a pull to inward. You getting on more or working more from the background, from behind the scenes, pulling strings maybe from behind the scenes, keeping a weather eye on things from behind the scenes, supporting others from behind the scenes or behind the scenes in a sort of cloistered environment, kind of like the castle walls, the castle, with the drawbridge up sort of thing, in a kind of a special little bubble, and having to be more aware of others' capabilities, others' needs, others' requirements, or they being more aware of yours, because this area also is the area to do with recharging, regenerating, healing. So if the energy is working like that for you, when you have to be subject to others' care, then that is more likely at this time. Sometimes it's a little bit of both, really. You'll probably have to be more aware, though, more sensitive to others, and even that compassionate side coming out, and also you'll be dealing with a lot more with the Sun going through this karmic house anyway, on subconscious levels as well as conscious levels. So there's that going on with the Sun. Mercury is in the same area as the Sun up until the 9th, and that puts the mental focus on you furthering your aims through those friendships, those contacts. It's really key making those contacts. Group associations, tapping into the collective mind, and your discussions, ideas, paperwork, correspondence, anything like that could be centered around that, but also be quite future orientated. Really, I would say where the Sun and Mercury are at the beginning of the month is going to help the ball get rolling on something that you've been waiting to get on with, waiting to do. Mercury moves, though, before the Sun does, and goes into the next area between the 9th and the 29th. Mercury is working from these more introspective, deeper levels. Maybe you're feeling that certain things are undecided, up in the air. Mind tends to be more open to emotional states, moods. So watch that one for you, Scorpio. And really you ought to just allow yourself to zone out, allow yourself to meditate, allow yourself to just sit and stare and gaze and contemplate, because strangely enough, many instinctual knowings, or many new ideas, or even answers to questions that you have, if you're going around with a question mark over your head, could just kind of bubble up to the surface the more you let go with Mercury there. When Mercury comes into your sign from the 29th, then that's a different kettle of fish, and then you get much more busy in your head, even though the sun is still in the background area. So you'll be kind of looking out and looking in very much more from the 29th onwards. But it's a great time for healing, it's a great time for recharging, resting your mind, sort of cleansing your mental palette, as it were, and moving beyond what may be getting in the way of your happiness and your security and your physical well-being at this time. So working very much on deeper levels. That's really the key to to Mercury and the Sun being in the background area there, and until the 11th, Venus is in a more of a background area as well, and that's good. Because that means that you sort of tuck yourself away a little bit more, and also your heart energy is just a little bit more secretive, or just a little bit more turned inwards. A great time to go in for pampering type activities, therapies, go and get a massage, whatever, and also look to do practices yourself like meditation, yoga, etc. But also Venus is the planet that rules the arts, so this is a wonderful time to be doing artistic, to pursue your art, or to be just using your imagination. If it's not art, using your imagination in other kinds of ways. Lovely time to link into your wider consciousness and your guardian angel, if you like. So you could be called upon more to do things for others or on behalf of others, or just because they're there and they need to be done. It doesn't matter whether you've got an opinion and you're not feeling like it. They're there and they need to be done. But as I say, it's a karmic area. Others can be oblivious to what's going on inside of you. So actually Venus and Mercury are going to be there at the same time between the 9th and the 11th. Just watch out on the 9th, by the way. Things can be a bit heavier going there, more pressure. Try not to schedule, meeting up with any officials or kind of people that you want to impress on the 9th, because the energies are kind of a bit blocking there on the 9th. And then Venus, back to Venus. Venus moves from the 11th, and then Venus, the planet of love and material success and physical balance, comes into your sign, Mr. or Mrs. Charisma, or Miss Charisma. So Mr. and Mrs. Miss, you Scorpio are the charismatic sign of the zodiac. Taurus is pretty charismatic as well, but you've got this kind of magnetism, and with Venus in your sign, wow, phew, that can be a sisterly time. Maybe more for others, but you've got that kind of allure then. You can really work that. So that would maybe be a better time to go for certain things, even though the Sun and Mercury are going to be in that quite background area. Well, actually, Sun's not going in there until the 23rd, so Mercury's in there. So actually, between the 11th and the 23rd, that could be a great time for striking up acquaintances, for feeling the support of others to come. You're very much more willing to mix and mingle than you were in the previous time up until the 11th. And good news for you, really, in the love department, but with friendships, which is also, of course, the love department in a different way, and anything to do with business. And on the other hand, you may be feeling quite self-indulgent and want to treat yourself to things. So watch that pocket, and putting your hand in your pocket too much. But if you do, then you're doing it because you know it's going to be of value maybe in the future. It's a key thing that you've got to have, and it's not just frivolous, really. So then, oh yes, and watch out for around about the 18th, 19th, when we've got Venus flitting across the face of Saturn there in that degree in the sky. So you might feel a little bit more challenged there on those couple of days. Don't expect too much from other people. That's also a day not to schedule anything important, I would say. Those 2 days there. So we've got the 9th, the 18th, and the 19th. You might have to be more on your best behavior if you have got something going on there. Best to be more in your own space and be more self-reflective. Just to mention of Jupiter began a new cycle at the back end of June and is in a stunningly good angle to your sun sign until next July. Jupiter, the planet of abundance, potential abundance and expansion. So this is a time when you will grow through foreign connections, maybe travel, maybe wider communications across the board, like publications of various kinds, but also through communications, education, spoken, written word, but also other mediums of self-expression. You seen more as the guide, the teacher, the mentor, or you coming into a good, a really productive relationship with some sort of guide, teacher, mentor figure yourself. Could be broadcasting things on a wider scale, and also getting interested in something that is out there that you're sourcing in and you find absolutely, is just your thing. You sign up for a course, you enroll, or you follow somebody, whose blog or book or whatever. And really during that time, the boundaries of your known world are going to be stretching, Scorpio, physically and mentally into new areas. You're going to be on quite a learning curve. And you Scorpios born between the 5th and the 11th of November, or with 13 to 19 degrees rising, going to feel this energy the most. Just to mention of the position of Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune in all the water signs, underpinning your sign really, really well, one of them being in your sign, Saturn. And that means that you can have your imagination stimulated, particularly related to a speculative project or to a romantic connection, or to any kind of leisure type activity or entertainment orientated activity, and allow that imagination to really run free and flow, allow that inner child to come out. Even though you've got rather po-faced grown up Saturn in your sign, you just got to find the balance there. And there is a risk of building castles in the air and following the impossible dream, but with Saturn in your sign, she will smack you back. And you just get smacked back into touch, really, touching earth, being real with it all. And I think you can do very well with these 3 planets over the rest of this year and into next year. It brings a very positive energy into your life, which underpins a balanced, innovative, but spontaneous and very creative, I used that word before, I'll say it again, it's a creative approach. And that's it for September. If you know your rising sign and your moon sign, listen to the forecasts there, because they'll give you some more input, really, and just ditch the bits that don't make any sense to you. And also on my website I update the outer slower moving planets and the position and how they may be affecting your sign. I update that every month, and have a look at those. And I'll see you the next time.